Hello, be right back. Sorry, I got to turn one of the lights on that I need. How's everyone? It's good to see you here. Hello, Jeff, Catherine, Ellen, Marianne, Daphne. It's good to see you all. Hold on. Are you all right? Hi, Stephen. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Tathagata's teaching, freeing all creations. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. All evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought, now I atone for it all. Fragrance of this incense invites the awakened mind to be present with us now. Fragrance of this incense fills our room, protects and guards our minds from wrong thinking. Fragrance of this incense unites us with precepts, concentration, and insight. We offer it for all beings. Homage to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I shall become one with the Buddha. I resolve that I shall each day follow the way of life he laid down for us to walk and awaken to his supreme wisdom. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I shall become one with the Dharma. The gates of Dharma are manifold. I vow to enter them all. Goal of wisdom is ever beyond. I shall attain it. I go to the Sangha for guidance. I shall become one with the Sangha. In the spirit of universal fellowship and as a member of the Sangha, I pledge myself to strive for the enlightenment of all beings. The Metta Sutta. This is what should be done by one who is filled with goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with the boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. Radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, sitting or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into the world of suffering. Metta prayer. May I be happy and well. May no harm come to me. May I learn compassion. May all my friends, family, and those I love be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those troubled in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who have hurt me in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all those who I have hurt in body, mind, and spirit be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all my enemies be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. May all living beings be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they learn compassion. Do a guided meditation tonight. Make sure I got this on Do Not Disturb. I'll set the timer for 20 minutes so that if you prefer to mute the sound and use your timer, you can do that. Starting now. So focus on your sitter, on your belly, pit of your stomach, letting your abdominal muscles be nice and relaxed. And taking some deep breaths. Let your belly be soft so your belly can rise and fall smoothly. Lungs can fill and empty completely. And let your breath settle to a comfortable rhythm, just breathing naturally. Let's keep your awareness on the in-breath and out-breath. And being the holiday season, this is a time I think that it's good to send wishes for well-being into the world. So we'll send loving kindness, metta, goodwill to all beings, beginning with ourselves. We're beings too. May I be happy. And this is the kind of happiness that comes from within and that's found in the present. It's not dependent on externals. So when we say, may I be happy, we really mean right now, one breath at a time, being happy. May I be free from animosity. And if any thoughts of anger or ill will arise, just let those go. Give yourself freedom from that for the next 18 minutes or so. May I be free from stress and affliction. So whatever comes up, whatever comes into consciousness, we don't need to push it away. We don't need to cling to it. sounds or visions from outside, physical sensations, thoughts that arise in the mind and heart, feelings. None of those things really belong to us. So just let them go or let them be. Release and accept. May I look after myself with ease. Noticing how the mind moves, how things want to pull one way or the other. Just bringing the attention back to our practice. Looking after ourselves with ease, with compassion for ourselves, acceptance for our circumstances. Free from judgments, from attachments. And call to mind your loved one. If you haven't done this before, it's just someone that you care about a great deal. Parent, child, spouse, teacher, perhaps, who's accepted you as you are, shown you kindness. And call them to mind. You can visualize them or think of their name. And just wish them well. May they be happy. You can use the verses from the metta prayer if you like. May they be happy and well. May no harm come to them. May they know compassion. Or just simply, may they be happy. Call to mind a friend, someone you like being around. Maybe they've done you some favors or something like that, or maybe you just like them. And call them to mind and wish them well also. May they be happy and well. May no harm come to them. Using their name or visualizing them, sending them this warmth of your goodwill. Call to mind a neutral person, an acquaintance, someone that you don't like or dislike, or maybe you don't know very well yet. But you know that, like yourself and your friends and your loved ones, that they want to be happy and well. And they experience the same sorts of obstacles to that you do. And so begin to wish them well. Think of their name or call up their image in your mind and send them your goodwill. May they be happy and well. May no harm come to them. Call to mind your adversary, someone you're not getting along with, or just someone who bugs you. Maybe you've had some conflict with recently. And recognizing that often the people who we get into conflict with are also just trying to be happy, trying to avoid suffering. And they may not be doing it very skillfully, or maybe their point of view just doesn't align with ours. But they're trying, just as we are and our friends and loved ones, to be happy. So let's wish them that. May they be happy and well. May no harm come to them. And finally, may all beings be happy. And you can send that thought in 4 cardinal directions, above and below, or to different kinds of beings, whatever suits you. May all beings be happy. To end the meditation, stop the sending out. Just bring your attention to the center of your chest, recognizing this wellspring of goodwill is always available to you whenever you need it. And take a few deep breaths. And just focusing on the breath coming and going. And when the bell rings the first time, bring your hands together in front of your heart. And Gasho. And when it rings the second time, bow take a moment just to be grateful to yourself for spending this time developing your spiritual life. See who came in after I said hello to everybody. Yes, so Ellen, yes, these are new glasses. Well, they're not real new. They're probably a couple months. But I don't wear glasses on here usually because I see at that distance without them fairly well. And hi, Nina. So before I get into anything else, just a reminder, or to those of you who haven't heard this yet, maybe, that next Wednesday, if all goes as planned, we will be live streaming, but we will also be in person at the Collective Church. I should have looked at the address of that. I'm not sure what the address is, but it's on East New York, just the first block off of Woodland Boulevard, right across the street from Boston Coffee. Can't miss it. It's a big storefront. It's in the Drika Theater building. So the sign actually, the main sign on the building says Drika, the Drika building or Drika Theater building. Can't remember which. And then big glass windows in front, big sign up front that says Collective Church. We'll be in there. A week from today is Rohatsu, Bodhi Day, the Japanese celebration of the Buddha's enlightenment. And so we'll be doing a service to acknowledge that. And then if that goes well, and everybody likes the idea and all that, then the plan is that I think we'll wait till after the first of the year because people are traveling. I'm traveling, stuff like that. But once the holidays are behind us, hopefully, we'll meet there. We'll start meeting in person again at the Collective Church. And I'm not like mad at the UUs or anything like that, but the Collective is set up, is wired for live streaming. So, and the church, we'd have to do it like on our phone or something. There's no Wi-Fi there, so we'd have to switch to Facebook, and we wouldn't have the same kind of quality. So I've watched one of the church's live streams. It looks real good, sounds real good. A lot better than this. Not that there's anything wrong with this, but and I think the organization is aligned generally with our values. I mean, they're very open to interfaith activity and stuff like that. So, yeah, so I think it'll be fine. So I want to talk tonight about a question that I've had. It's come up several times over the past few years, but someone asked me very specifically about this recently, and this is a colleague who deals with a lot of other people who've asked him about this recently. And so I thought, well, it's a good time to talk about this. And really it's the question, which I think I posted on the description of tonight's meeting. The question is, can I be a Buddhist and be something else? Or can I be something else and also be a Buddhist? And so I've talked about this a little bit at White Sands before. I probably talked about it here before a little bit, but there, so the short answer is yes. Okay, we're done. No, I'm kidding. There is a trend, a tendency for people to want to continue to practice their, the religion of their family, of their culture, that they grew up with or whatever, and yet to recognize maybe a need to do something a little bit deeper spiritually, or a little bit more practice oriented spiritually, or they just have heard about Buddhism, or they've tried to meditate, or they've started to meditate and they found that that's working for them, and that's maybe waking them up spiritually in some way. And so the question comes up, well, can I be a Buddhist and still be whatever, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Baha'i, whatever. So again, the short answer is yeah, why not? We don't have a problem with it. Now, if you're an evangelical Christian and you're looking into Buddhism, your pastor might have an issue with it, but I don't have an issue with it. But there are some things to be aware of. And there's some challenges that you'll encounter and that sort of thing that's important to know. And also, so like this person who was talking to me about this said, you don't hear about Jewish Christians or, Muslim Jews or whatever, Hindu Muslims and stuff. Why do you hear about Buddhists? I think the term I've heard recently was Jew booze. And that's a good question. And there are answers to this. So there's some things that are kind of unique or about Buddhism. I don't know that unique is the correct way of putting it, but there are some things about Buddhism that are different from what we see a lot with some of the religions that are more majority religions in the West, and so on. So that, are different from Buddhism. And so that's, part of the answer. So here's the thing. So Buddhism is a path of practice. Yes, there's a mythology. All religions have some sort of a mythology. Now, being mythic doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. All right, it just means these are the stories, the sacred stories around that convey the values and purpose and so on of a religion. And Buddhism has one of those, and it's a different mythology than other religions have, different central figures and all of that. Buddhism has a purpose that involves connecting us, practitioners to the divine, which other religions have. Christianity, if you believe in a certain thing, you go to a certain place when you die, and so on. Buddhism has its own sense of its own purposes, its own soteriology, its own theory of salvation. Buddhism, has rites and rituals, just like all other religions. They're different rites and rituals than other religions, to some extent. Like when Buddhists, say, Catholic once told me that when you stand to praise, you sit to learn, and you kneel to pray. Well, in Buddhism, it's, you sit to sit, and you sit to listen, and you may kneel to sing or praise. It's not really praising, but, well, sort of, you're sometimes we'll chant, the characteristics of the Buddha, which is a sort of like praising God, sort of, a little different. So things are different, There's a lot of similarities. We light candles. They light candles in Catholic churches. They light a chalice in UU churches, that, and so on. Um, there's yeah. So there are some differences in terms, though, of what the religion is all about. And so, I've had this conversation before with like Christian ministers. If I ask a minister, what's Christianity? They'll give me a statement of belief. We believe that God, so loved the world that he gave his only son, etc. That's a statement of belief. If you ask me what's Buddhism, I'm going to tell you what we do. Do good, avoid doing evil, purify the mind. At its simplest, that's what Buddhism is. In fact, I was at the prison this week, and there was a guy who's fairly new to Buddhism. He'd been reading about it. I think he's been to one meeting before. I can't remember for sure. And I said something about being a Buddhist, that I was a Buddhist. And then I said, you know what? That's really not accurate. It's really, yes, I identify as Buddhist. Somebody says, what religion are you? I'm a Buddhist. But the reality is, it's not about being a Buddhist. It's not about what I call myself. It's about what I do. I do Buddhism. And that actually goes back to like the beginning of Buddhism. There's in like Theravada Buddhism, they'll say Buddha Sasana. And in fact, I was having a conversation with somebody at the Thai temple one time, and the person said something about Buddhism, and this Thai woman goes, "Don't talk about Buddhism. It's not an ism. It's a sasana." Well, sasana is a practice. What Buddha practice? So what do you do as a Buddhist? Not what do you believe in? What do you do? And so there is that aspect of this that makes it kind of easy, not easy, but appropriate in some cases. You can have a sort of cultural belief system that's not Buddhist and yet practice Buddhism. So a lot of the people who do this, that's what they're doing. They might be culturally Jewish or culturally Christian or so on, and they practice Buddhism. So it's not like, if you go for refuge with me, you can never have a Christmas tree again. In fact, we put them up sometimes here at the house. Michelle likes to decorate. Sensei Michelle, gets real caught up in that sometimes. Not this year because she's busy with, schoolwork, but sometimes we'll decorate the house because it feels good to do it. And it kind of harkens back to like childhood, and when, shiny colored lights were really cool and made you feel happy and all of that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, one of the interesting things about religion in general, not just Buddhism, but religion in general, is that it's not a fixed, finite thing. Religion is, if it's useful at all to actual living, breathing human beings, it evolves and changes. It's more of an art than a museum piece. Art evolves, improves, changes, meets the culture that it's in. It creates the culture that it's in, and at the same time responds to what's happening in the culture. Religion is like that too. Religion is not something separate from everything else that's going on. Religion is a part of culture, and it influences culture. It's a creator of culture. So it results from culture and creates culture. And so it changes over time. It changes to fit the needs, really, of the people who are practicing it. Now, that doesn't mean that you go, oh, this whole 5 precepts thing is really kind of inconvenient. I'm not going to bother with that. Because, if you're going to practice the religion, you need to understand and its ethics and practice the ethics. Do good. How do you define that? And you define it a little bit differently in Buddhism, maybe than some other religions. Avoid doing evil. You might define that differently in Buddhism than some other religions, but you have guidelines. So, and to some extent, those things are going to change. So, for example, you find the rules for running monasteries, many of which, when I was a monk in the Thai order, I took 227 precepts, many of which are completely irrelevant today. Who cares what color wool you make your sitting mat out of? That's one of them. You take these precepts, and but traditions and things like that are somewhat important, but every religion has sort of a core of what it's about that is somewhat enduring and stable, even when the context for it, even within the context of the religion itself, can be somewhat fluid. So let me give you an example of that. The Buddha gave some very specific teachings during his lifetime that were preserved and that established this is what Buddhism is about. The Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, the teaching on the not self characteristic, teaching on impermanence, the teaching that liberation from coming and going is possible. There are schools of Buddhism out there where that's probably never ever discussed. I mean, I doubt very seriously that you go into a typical Zendo associated with Soto Zen and hear somebody give a talk about the Four Noble Truths. But that doesn't mean it's not there. It is within the marrow of the practice, even if it's never discussed. That's where it comes from. It's in the bones, in the marrow. So that transcendence comes about through understanding ignorance and suffering and the cause of suffering. And when we do the chant at the beginning about, all harmful karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my greed, hatred, and ignorance. That's in there. That's in those early teachings. Okay. And those things you don't change. You're not going to say, I like this Buddhism thing, but I'd like to go around being ignorant. Then you're not Buddhist. Okay. You could call yourself Buddhist, but you ain't. You're not doing it. You're not doing it. And that's the important thing, is doing it. Calling yourself something does not save you. You do not make spiritual progress based on what you call yourself. So you call yourself a Christian if you want to. If you're not practicing Christianity, well, good luck, right? And the same thing with Buddhism. You call yourself a Buddhist, stick a label on your shirt or whatever, wear the Buddhist t-shirt, but to actually do Buddhism, you have to do Buddhism. So you can do Buddhism and still identify as Jewish, still identify as Christian, still identify as Muslim. Now, there are going to be some issues that arise. I'm not going to, I won't sugarcoat that. And we can't really dance around those. If you're a Muslim, for example, I've talked to Muslims about common ground between Islam and Buddhism. That's some very interesting conversations. There's a lot of similarity. There's a Muslim teaching in the Quran about the lantern parable, and it's beautiful, and it's about as Zen as anything I've ever seen. It's just gorgeous, and it really speaks to my heart. But if you're a Muslim, you're probably not going to be real comfortable in a Buddhist temple because that particular religion really looks down on praying in a room with graven images in it. So the statues and things like that probably going to make you uncomfortable. Will it make you go to hell if you do it? That's kind of, you have to figure that out. I mean, I can't tell you that. Ellen's saying, well, there's this pesky issue of the soul. And yeah, if you're a Christian who believes that salvation comes about as a result of, you're saving your soul, and Buddhism says, ain't no soul. Well, you got to figure out how to navigate that, because you're certainly, those two ideas do not align real well. Having said that, there's Catholic priests out there who are Zen masters. So when you go, you know what, I believe this, but I'm going to do that. As long as those two things are not conflicting with one another, then where's the problem? I had an evangelical Christian once, trying really hard to convince me that I was going to go to hell because I wasn't a Christian. And so I said, okay, so my religion is that you do good, you avoid doing evil, and you purify your mind of those things that get you to, not do good and to do attached to evil. What part of that do you have a problem with? Well, didn't have a problem with any of that. So I identify as Buddhist. I have enough trouble trying to follow the principles and practices of one religion. I'm not going to complicate my life by trying to follow the principles and practices of two religions or three or four or whatever. But I can recognize the wisdom in other religions. And often I can see things, experience things, and be really deeply touched by it, despite the fact that, maybe I don't identify as one of those. But I also don't have to push those away. One of my favorite things to do this time of year is to go to Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church for the Thanksgiving interfaith service. It's wonderful. Do I agree with everything everybody says? No. But, at some point, when your own spirituality is solidified enough, and I don't mean hardened, I mean is concentrated enough that you know where your heart is. You've got direction and purpose, and your practice is strong. You can recognize the value in any other religion. I've talked to people that I'm sure were enlightened who practice religions other than the one I practice. I think that there's a lot of ways of getting to the truth. Now, when it comes to things like the soul, I had a conversation recently with someone who was talking about the sort of yogic view that the little a Atman was, that the purpose of practice was to unify the small a self with the large a self, the soul, this soul with this soul. Well, you know what? If that's useful, use it. I don't know in terms of substance how different that is really from the idea, for example, that by surrendering to the Nimbutsu that you realize oneness. What's oneness? So if you say, okay, well, I think there's a soul and I want to experience oneness with the big soul, all creation. Well, how is that different than saying, well, I don't have a separate, unique self, separate and apart from all creation? A lot of this stuff is really container. It's not truth. Truth is truth. Religion is container. Now, there is, I think that for most people, that you're probably going to have a foundation. That's the kind of the point you come back to. Again, for me, I identify as Buddhist. My practice is my practice. I can, from that standpoint, I can experience other practices, other traditions, and so on, and their beauty. But when I read that section of the Quran, I'm reading it as a Buddhist. I'm seeing the dharma there. when I hear there's a beautiful thing in the Kabbalah talking about the, gosh, I wish I thought to look it up before I started talking. Uh, I'll find this one of these days and I'll tell you about it. But there's this idea that, all the light in the world was concentrated into one thing and it just couldn't contain it all. So it exploded. And now the whole objective of the spiritual life is try to put it all back together again. Man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, I hear that and I'm practically moved to tears at the profundity of this idea. But, I'm going to come at that again from someone who's practicing the Buddha Dharma. So I think that if in the case of things like this, the Catholic priests who become Zen masters, I think they see that as a way, their Zen practice is a way to make their Christian practice more real, more personal, more grounded in really connecting to the divine in a very deep way. But, if you find a way to do both, more power to you. I'm not going to tell you you can't, but I will tell you, find your truth. Now, here's another thing. I have had this conversation with somebody lately, too. Student came in and was kind of trying to find a denomination, a Christian denomination that they would feel really comfortable with. And I talked about that. And I said, but don't think that you've got to agree with everything the preacher says. And it occurred to me as we were talking, I've got like 5 teachers or so that have been in my life that are really important to me, that I've gotten a lot from. I love them and have tons of gratitude for them. And I don't agree with 100% with any of them. Not a single one of them that I could say, I'm completely on the same page about everything with this person. Because my wisdom is my wisdom. It's not Kai Tian's wisdom. It's not Tan Chao Kun's wisdom. It's not Ginjo Gallagher's wisdom. It's whatever I got, is through my realization. I heard an interesting metaphor of the Zen monk who's in the prison group with me was talking about to one of the guys about early on, how he struggled with the idea of teaching and, how could he avoid screwing somebody else up by saying the wrong thing? And the guy and his teacher said, don't give from empty pockets. I love that. You can't give from empty pockets. In other words, don't give what you don't have, right? So certain things that I have, they're things that I'm going to agree with, I'm going to be on the same page with most of my teachers. Otherwise, they wouldn't be my teachers. But there are areas where I go, I don't really see it that way. Not only that, they wouldn't all agree with each other about everything either. They'd all have disagreements, and yet they're all grounded in the Buddha Dharma. So if you find that, you really want to practice the religion that you grew up with and be a Buddhist, okay, you don't have to agree with everything. Do what you do and do it from your heart and do it from a place of wisdom and compassion, and you'll be fine. Now, should you go for refuge if you also feel like you're a Christian or Jewish or whatever? That's totally up to you. Can you find a place where both of those things hold the same space in your heart? Okay. If you can, then that's fine. It's things that I would caution you against. There's a trend to try to sort of secularize Buddhism. Buddhism is a religion. It's a good religion. Don't say it's not a religion. If you're going to practice it, okay, fine. Doesn't mean it has to be your religion. You can say there's a whole lot here to do that's really good that I'm going to benefit from, but maybe I won't call myself a religious Buddhist. Right? And that's okay. That's totally okay. Make meditation and things like that, a part of your own tradition. Perfectly fine. Just don't water it down. Don't sell it short. Uh, it's recognize the value really in both. So look, I've grew up in a Baptist home, largely Baptist communities and so on. So that's kind of generally where I head when I'm looking for something else. But there's a lot of great religions out there. Explore them. If I if I have an opportunity to sit down at a Sikh center and have a meal with the Sikhs, I would really benefit from that. I would enjoy that. It doesn't make me a Sikh, right? But take what you can use from others and incorporate it into your own truth. Just be aware of what you're doing. That's all. So anyway, I hope that this was helpful. And I know I wandered quite a bit, but it's actually really a huge topic. And it's not we don't have all day for lectures. So feel free to email me about this kind of thing and stuff like that. If you're struggling with this question yourself, I'd be happy to talk with you about it. So we will say the dedication. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, existing right here now. In offering flowers, candles, and incense, hearing the Dharma and training the mind, great merit is attained. We dedicate this merit to the great Master Shakyamuni Buddha, the all-pervading and everlasting three treasures, to the 16 guardians and all protectors of their Dharma, their relations throughout space and time, to all ancestors of this Sangha and all beings in the Dharma world. May penetrating light dispel the darkness of ignorance, that all karma be resolved and the mind flower bloom in eternal spring. May the Dharma body maintain strength and health, and years of life be lengthened for all teachers of this Sangha. May their vows be fully realized, and may they live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma. We pray for those suffering from violence and those who grieve for them, for those living in oppression, for all who are imprisoned who should be free, for all refugees from violence, hunger, catastrophes, man-made or natural. We pray for the health and well-being of those suffering from diseases of body, mind, or spirit, those working toward the healing of those afflictions. May they be serene through all their troubles, and may we realize the enlightened way together. Sabbe sata sadahantu avera sukha jivino katang punya phalang mahang tabe bagi bhavantu te. May all beings always live happily, free from animosity. May all share in the blessings that arise from the goodness we have done. Thank you all for being here. I will see you. You're welcome. I'll see you tomorrow to talk about the sixth patriarch. By the way, I think I sent out, there's a new Zoom link, and I think I also put in the passcode stuff. So if you have trouble getting in just using the link, use the passcode. But let me know, because I think I got it fixed. But thank you, Daphne, and good night all. And have a great day tomorrow, and I'll see you tomorrow night.